Hi! Today, let's learn on setting up a quiz in Soul. The quiz activity enables a teacher to create quizzes comprising questions of various types, including multiple choice, matching type, short answer, true or false, and many others. The teacher can allow the quiz to be attempted multiple times, with the questions shuffled or randomly selected from the question bank. A time limit may be set. Each attempt is marked automatically with the exception of essay questions, and the grade is recorded in the grade book. So are you ready? Let's get things started. First, make sure that you are in the course or subject where you want to create a quiz. And then, select a topic or week where quiz will be created. As for me, I will click on Final Exam. And then, click on Create Learning Activity, choose Quiz, and you will be redirected into this page where you can set your quiz. First off, you have to name your quiz or your exam. And then in the description box, you can give the general instruction of the exam. At the right side, you have all things that you could set for your exam. First, if you want to hide it from your students while you're still making the exam, then click on Hide from Students. Next, let's click on Timing. Timing contains options that allow us teachers to set time-enabled conditions in our quiz. We have these 4 features: opening time of the quiz, closing time of the quiz, time limit, and when time expires. So, the opening time of the quiz sets a specific date and time when the quiz will be available to the student. So we'll have to click on Enable to change the opening time of the quiz. Then we go to closing time of the quiz. It sets a specific date and time when the quiz will be closed. Once closed, a quiz will no longer be accessible to the student. Let's click again Enable to activate the closing time of the quiz or to edit the closing time of the quiz. The opening and closing time of the quiz simply indicates the availability of the exam to our students. Most of the times, it is set within the time and duration of our class. Then we proceed to time limit. Time limit is the allowed time duration for students to take the quiz. This is set in such a way that it should be within the availability of the exam. It cannot be beyond that, else the quiz will be cut short. Let's click on Enable to give our time limit. As for this quiz, it will be 50 minutes. Then we have when time expires. So if you click on these options, there are 3. Open attempts are submitted automatically. If a student fails to submit before the time expires, his or her attempt will be submitted automatically. Then we have There is a grace period when open attempts can be submitted, but no more questions answered. This means that if a student fails to submit before the time expires, he/she will be given a grading period to submit his or her answer items only. Unanswered items will be given 0 points. And then we have attempts must be submitted before time expires or they are not counted. This means that if a student fails to submit before the time expires, all items will be given 0 points. Most of the times, I just click on the default. We now go to grade. This feature allows us teachers to control some options in grading the exam. We have grade category, grade to pass, and attempts allowed. In grade category, only applicable if course gradebook is set up. Else, we could leave as default. But for this exam, I'll place it in the first quarterly exam category. For the second feature, grade to pass, it is the minimum grade required to pass the exam. It is used for activity or course completion. There is no need to place grade to pass if we have not set up the total score of our exam, so we'll just leave it by default. Then we have attempts allowed. It is the maximum number of attempts allowed in taking the quiz. By default, only one attempt is allowed. Then we go to layout. Layout simply displays the number of questions displayed on one page. By default, one page contains one question. It is recommended to change the options to every 3 questions or every 5 questions, depending on the number of items in that particular quiz. For this one, I'll have every 5 questions. Then we proceed to question behavior. Question behavior refers to how questions behave while students are taking the quiz. So we have 2 options here, shuffle within questions and how questions behave. If shuffle within questions is set to yes, each student has a different arrangement of choices for quiz items with multiple options like multiple choice or matching type, provided that it is also enabled in the question settings. Then, in deferred feedback, the student must submit the entire quiz first before getting any grade or score. This is the most common option. Otherwise, you could change it if necessary. Then we have the review options. So for the review options, we have during the attempt, immediately after the attempt, later while the quiz is still open, and after the quiz is closed. During the attempt, it is actually disabled because we don't want to let them see their feedback and their marks while they are still taking the exam. Then we have immediately after the attempt. Most of the times, I just click on marks, which means they could see their scores immediately after they have submitted their exam. The same goes for later while the quiz is still open, since some of their classmates are still answering the quiz, so I will just also activate or check the scores, meaning they could only see their scores. Then we have after the quiz is closed. So most of the times after the quiz is closed, I check everything, meaning they could see their marks, they could see their correct answers, and they could see those wrong answers that they have. That's the time that they could review everything in their exam. For appearance, it is only for on-screen display during the exam, so there is no need to change anything. Then we click on Extra Restrictions. Extra restrictions allows us to add security features to the quiz, such as a password. By default, this field is blank. To enable this option, type the password of your choice in the provided box and click Enter to save. Since other categories need not be changed, let's scroll up and click on Save and Display in order for all the settings of our quiz to be saved. We are now redirected to the quiz information window. This means that quiz settings is successfully saved.